Alright, so this time we're looking at portraits again, and, well, actually we're looking at portraits of zombies. I drew this piece up. It's kind of a piece of something else, something a little bit bigger, so there'll be another video that goes up down the road that you'll see how this ties into. But for now, it works as another episode of Road to Wacommander, so that's why I'm putting it up. I had a hard time doing this one. It took 3 or 4 tries before I finally found a groove and was able to get something that worked. One thing that did help is I had a reference photo that I had complete control of, and basically what I mean by that is the person you're looking at in this video is me without a beard. So I needed a picture where the one side of a face, which turned out to be my face, was blown out by a flash, and then the other side was stark black, basically, with just full of shadow. So luckily I have a hot shoe on my camera where I can have a corded flash, and I can pull the flash away from the camera. So I locked myself in the bathroom, turned off all the lights, pointed the camera at myself, and pointed the flash to the right side of my head, and just kept going until I found a shot that worked. And so I was able to create my own reference material, and basically, which is good because I own all the rights to it, so I can't get sued. But it was kind of fun. So the whole thing was to learn how to do portraiture with this real kind of harsh lighting, and then turn myself into a zombie. So it was a lot of fun to do. It was, like I said though, it took 3 or 4 tries. I just couldn't get it right because it's when you do that first blocking, that color blocking, which I think is actually the hardest part, because you're trying to find all the slight shadows and change of color and stuff. That's why I did all this in black and white first. I was originally going to colorize the whole thing, but later I decided just to use red as the only other color in here. But it helps to just paint in black and white first in grayscale and just get a sense of highlights and shadows. So you just find like a mid-range gray and basically call that your neutral color, and then highlights are the ones more towards white and shadows are the ones more towards black, and then you just kind of paint in everything. It's kind of the same process I did for the monster faces I did, where you do grayscale first, and then block in your color, and then just use a layer over it, set the blending mode to color, and then just start painting on color. And you can get pretty far just by doing that. So that's what this method was. It was kind of fun to go back, what you're seeing now, to go back and like rip out my eyeball and rip the side of my mouth and stuff in digital painting. So kind of a trip. My kids came in and were like, "What are you doing, Dad?" So but it was pretty cool. But like I said, the color blocking is the hardest part, because you're trying to find those shadows and highlights, and it's really easy to just screw it all up right at the beginning. So I did 3 or 4 tries just to get that right, and this is actually try number 3, I think, where I finally found a groove. And finding the right combination of brushes is incredibly difficult right now as well. I find if I have a little bit too much opacity, it looks like I'm trying to color with magic markers, and it just doesn't look right. Or if I have too much, then I can't kind of blend just a little bit just to get an idea of depth. So I'm still kind of in training my eyeball to see it and to kind of pull colors apart. There's a filter in Photoshop that does something similar, where I think it's posterize or something, where it basically finds solid shapes of color and basically tries to yank them apart and make them their own thing. Or it's kind of like tracing in Illustrator. You're just trying to find those big solid shapes of color to create depth. So the other big thing I did here was I changed up my brushes, so I didn't just use a circular basic brush. I used a very stylized, it was actually a dry brush stroke pack, I think I got from Brush Easy a long time ago. It might still be up. If I can find a link, I'll put it in the description. But that helped. It helped to size that way down, and it gave it a little bit more texture than I was thinking I'd be able to use. So it kind of looked nice. The only drawback with a textured brush though is that if you set the spacing too far apart, it almost looks like a blur effect. So you want to keep the spacing fairly tight. Yeah, is what I'm finding out. But again, I hope you like this one. It was a trip to draw it. Every time I would get deeper into it, it's like, this is strange. I never have seen. I've tried to do this to myself, so it was interesting, but it was fun. I think I might do more. I'm gonna have to dig up some other models though, so I'll get sick of drawing myself too many times, that's for sure. The other cool thing is to just use a photo of yourself as reference, but then to turn yourself into someone else, which is kind of interesting, by changing, you know, little features here and there, and that's kind of a trip too. So anyways, there's a wallpaper for this. It's gonna be something something bigger, and I hope you dig it. So again, number 8, I got talked into drawing robots, so I think I'm gonna give metal and robotic stuff a go and see what I can come up with. After that, I don't know. It's really just a open ball game. So let me know below what you think, and I'm really interested what you guys are doing too. How many of you guys use tablets or like to paint or draw just in general, with or without a tablet? I'm kind of interested to see if you guys are into fine arts or what you do and what you like to draw, and just let me know, and maybe I can whip some of that up and give it a shot on here. But again, hope you dig it, and I will talk to you, well, in number 8.